Well, good morning and welcome to day 7 of Peace Week, and good evening and good afternoon, depending where you may be. It's day 7 of Peace Week. Wow, what an extraordinary journey it's been over these last few days. There'll be definitely time to reflect and to reveal all of the beauty and the wonder that has taken place over this extraordinary week. It's also day 98, can you believe, of our 99 days of peace through unity. So it's a very exciting time. We'll be celebrating tomorrow. Be aware the big closing gala is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Saturday, the 24th of September. So welcome. We have an extraordinary panel today. We are addressing the seventh core need according to eco-governance, which is the core need of manifesting potential. And we do have an extraordinary lineup for you. I'm going to go through and introduce our speakers one by one and bring them up to say a little bit about what work they're doing. We're going to start with Linda Tucker. So great, Linda, to have you back with us in Peace Week. In the midst of a global lion crisis that treats Africa's most sacred animals as a killing commodity in cross-border trade, Linda Tucker has dedicated her life to the solution. After being rescued by a Songa medicine woman from a life-threatening encounter with a pride of lions in 1991, Linda Tucker gave up a career in international marketing to become a conservationist. She has dedicated her life to ensuring the flourishing of the critically endangered white lions, regarded as sacred animals, yet amongst the world's most targeted trophy. Founder of the Global White Lion Protection Trust and Linda Tucker Foundation, she and her team have successfully rewilded the white lions, securing vast protected heritage lands in the heart of their ancestral territories in UNESCO's Kruger to Canyon Biosphere. Linda, welcome. Welcome to Peace Week.
Such a privilege to be here, Ben, and to be here amongst such amazing people who have dedicated their lives to Earth's service, and in so doing, creating peace on Earth, which is absolutely within our potential as humanity. So the white lions are known as peace bringers, and their occurrence at this time is not a coincidence. It's nature's message to humanity that in the midst of the meltdown, there is a solution. I love that word, solution, because it's a solar sense of light reappearing in the midst of the darkest hour. And there are luminaries. They bring the sense of light into our challenges at this time. And so it was an incredible experience of my own manifesting potential when I dedicated my life to serving them and the crisis that I found them in. In fact, when I started doing this work nearly 30 years ago, they had become extinct in the wild because they were forcibly removed, traded into zoos and circuses around the globe, a mafia network that was directly linked with gun running, even child prostitution. And so they were in this dire trade, this cross-border trade, and you can imagine that at a global level creates a field of stress and disharmony when these sacred animals are treated in that way. So my mission, as had been shown to me by the indigenous elders I worked with, was to they were extinct at this time in the wild. My mission was to reestablish them in their sacred heartlands. And I'll be speaking a bit more about that in the context of earth healing and manifesting full potential in the ecosystem, which echoes out into the human system because it's one great system. So thank you for allowing me that introduction.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much for being with us. And we're looking forward to all of your sharing and interaction with our other amazing panelists today. I want to bring up Laura Rose. Laura, it's so wonderful to have you here in Peace Week. Laura is a co-founder and chief executive officer of the nonprofit Green Heart International, a nonprofit organization that has facilitated the cultural exchange experiences of more than 150,000 participants from 85 countries. while also supporting fair trade artisans from numerous developing nations through the Green Heart Shop. Laura's personal mission is to create global leaders through providing opportunities to young people from around the world to recognize their ability to positively impact the world through leadership training, empowering them to be change makers within society. Under Laura's leadership, service learning grants at Greenheart have been provided to more than 100 young people from more than 25 countries to help overcome daunting challenges in their home countries. Grant recipients learn to recognize the positive impact that they, as individuals, can have on their own home communities, undertaking projects from providing drinking water to school children in rural Colombia, to building playgrounds for toddlers in Jamaica, to the creation of literacy programs in Georgia, and computer training for children in Uganda. On top of that, Laura is also one of the principals of Purpose Earth, which is an extraordinary organization, which is also the primary sponsor of Peace Week, and is a beloved board member of Unity Earth as well. So, my gosh, Laura, there are so many ways that you are supporting people to manifest potential. Welcome, and please give us your opening sense about this core need and your connection to this, this critical core need of manifesting potential.
Ben, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with all of you today. And Shelley, I'm deeply honored to have been invited to be a part of this extraordinary group of people on this panel today. I guess what I want to say more than anything is that the manifestation of our potential is everything, right? If we can find our place in the world and help others to find their place in the world, we can move forward in extraordinary ways that enable us to connect, to become a part of the greater whole, and to recognize that we're not separated. We're not individuals that are on islands floating on our own, but that what we do at Greenheart, what we do at Purpose Earth, is we bring people together to share and celebrate our differences and to recognize our commonalities. And I will be sharing over the course of this panel today some beautiful stories about young people who have found their way, who I met when they were struggling, as so many young people do, to understand where their places in the planet, on the planet, and who, after having the privilege of spending time with them, I was able to see fly out of the nest like little birds and to become these extraordinary change makers who have done remarkable things. And I'm going to share a couple of little videos and just want to celebrate what's possible when we believe in ourselves.
Beautiful, Laura. Beautiful. Looking forward to that whole conversation and believe in ourselves and have people believe in us. And I think that's something that you're such a wonderful mentor for so many of these young people, both through Greenheart and Purpose Earth and your other coaching and mentoring. So looking forward to getting into that. Very, very beautiful. Now, our another speaker we have with us today, an extraordinary gentleman, Aviram Rozin, is the founder and international director of Sadhana Forest, a vegan volunteer-based organization focused on creating long-term plant-based food security through environmental restoration. Sadhana Forest trains local people in India, Haiti, and Kenya in the use of water-saving irrigation techniques and provides them with free seedlings to plant drought-resistant indigenous food-bearing trees around their homes. Sadhana Forest won third prize at the Humanitarian Water and Food Awards in Denmark 2010. Every year, the organization's India, Haiti, and Kenya centers host and train a total of over 1,500 volunteers, students, and interns from around 50 countries. Aviram is a member of the Global Restoration Council and a board member of the Foundation for World Education. He has been vegan since 1999 and lives with his family in the experimental township of Auroville, South India since 2002, where their dedication to veganism and their low carbon footprint lifestyle have inspired many. Aviram, it's really great to meet you and have you here in Peace Week, and really looking forward to hearing your thoughts, your opening thoughts about this idea of a core need of manifesting potential.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and feel inspired by what I heard until now and ready to go. What is difficult is to manifest our potential when we don't have our basic needs fulfilled. So the communities I work with don't have enough food, or their food is not nutritious enough, or don't have water to simply continue being alive. In the last 2 years, 3 years, it has been gone worse even. So fulfilling the potential seems like almost like a far task for them, because simply staying alive becomes a very, very daunting and difficult task in which we have to work together, Sadhana Forest and the local community, with huge motivation and concentration and planning in order just to keep ourselves alive. And then fulfilling the potential further is something that Sadhana Forest tries to do in many ways. For instance, we're very much into unschooling and natural learning. So I haven't sent my children to school. They were all the kids in our communities are growing in a way that enables them to really control their destiny and follow their potential and their passion. Being vegan, of course, fulfills the potential of oneness with all creatures around us. And I found it very powerful for me over the last 23 years of just this feeling that I'm not separated, I don't eat anyone, and they're all happy and I'm happy with them, is so helping me to fulfill my potential. So that's where sort of we're at, and we're wanting to work in many more places, soon in Namibia, and then in Romania, and in Northeast India, to help more and more people stay alive and slowly fulfill their potential. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aviram. And you mentioned that it's difficult to manifest potential without perhaps the more basic needs of life being met, and that's very much on topic as we are launching these 7 core needs this week in Peace Week. And of course, it's day 7 now, manifesting potential. We started with day 1 devoted to living soil, and day 2 was healthy water. Day 3, vitalizing food. Day 4 was fresh, clean air. Day 5 was physical and emotional safety. Day 6 was comfortable shelter. And day 7 was manifesting potential. And this is a circle, and I'll show the core needs video because I think that would be really good, building upon what Aviram was just sharing there. So I'll just pull that up. Just give me a moment. Here we go. Beautiful. And we might, all of our speakers up here as we go into this next sort of session, which will be a progressive discussion around this particular core need. Now, if you look at those ones, food and, soil and water and food and air, they're kind of, pretty self-explanatory. This one is manifesting potential, is one that maybe needs a little unpacking, and that's why I think this conversation is going to be such a rich one today. I want to just read one short sentence from the founder and architect of eco-governance, Dr. Shelley Ostroff, who's here with us in the room today. Shelley says about this particular core need for manifesting our potential. Our talents do not belong to us alone. As in all of nature, our unique gifts are nourished by the whole and must in turn nourish the whole. This understanding of the profound interdependence and complementarity of all parts of the whole inspires us to learn from and with nature about deeply cooperative, efficient, and life-enriching energy stewardship. So as we begin this conversation today, the question we're going to be asking our august panel here is, what are they seeing as the solutions, the local global solutions in education and development and whatever, such a broad field around ensuring the guaranteed access of all humans and animals to the conditions needed to manifest our unique life-enriching potential. Aviram was talking about some of the barriers to that with the lack of basic needs, and that's an important discussion as well. So we're looking at what are the optimal local to global strategies for ensuring the guaranteed access of all humans and animals to the conditions needed to manifest our unique life-enriching potential, and what are the whole system's healing benefits of such a strategy. So we're going to start, Linda, with you. And I know you are plugged into so much of what incredible things emerging around the planet from your own profound work with the White Lion Trust in South Africa, but also your connection to sacred sites and Indigenous people around the world. And you're such an important leader of our time. So we're really looking forward, Linda, to hearing from you about what are you seeing? What are the best local to global strategies that you see?
Thank you, Ben. Yes, local to global. I think often in these discussions, or almost always, people refer to themselves first and then nature. I'm going to do it the other way around because I know that our nature is part of Mother Nature. So my work has been serving the apex animal in their ecosystem. When I returned the white lions to their sacred natural site, they were extinct in the wild. And once they were home, once the king and queen returned to their kingdom, then it created this massive flourishing as all systems began to respond to something that was immaculately placed in the divine order of things. It's as if, nature has its peace plan, and once a key piece is put back in place as was always intended, so much around it begins to respond, including humans in the greater system. And so what I'd like to do then is, can I share a quick PowerPoint by sharing screen?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, there we go. So I'll be speaking about my particular work, but you'll see how, sorry, there we go, slideshow, play and start. So the Global White Lion Protection Trust, having got the white lions back to their heartland in the middle of this ecosystem, it was clear that their relationship with land and their relationship with people was totally interconnected. And more recently, we hosted a group of international Indigenous knowledge keepers, environmentalists, environmental scientists, and environmental lawyers to identify how we can protect the earth in a time of total meltdown. And this group, it was very clear to this group that the way to do so is to protect the earth's most sacred natural sites first and foremost, because from there, these sites, like organs of the body, respond globally, and it's as if Gaia herself starts to reawaken. So that became an absolutely core strategy, and it is based on a concept of eco, as in eco-governance, the heart being the center of creation, as opposed to the ego, which separates us from humanity. As long as we are bound in our ego supremely, we cannot manifest our full potential, because we are manifesting man-made, ego-bound outcomes. Our full potential relies on our heart connection with the whole. So protecting the lions in their heartland started manifesting potential not only for them, but for the whole greater system. So to visualize this, this is the heartland of the White Lion territories in the middle of this vast ecosystem, which is a UNESCO declared biosphere. That's the heart. Now, on the borders of this massive ecosystem, in United Nations terms, that would be called the buffer zone, but you'll see why we call it the thrive zone in the Asagaya model. Buffer implies human-wildlife conflict again, that humans are separate from the ecosystem, whereas the thrive zone makes it clear that that is the opportunity, the solution that is inherent in the crisis we're in now, as we change the system with this all systems healing approach that you reference. Again, now I've got Google Earth map, so you can see the heart. To give you an idea of the scale of this, this is probably a small country we're talking about in terms of the scale, because the Kruger to Canyons biosphere, the Kruger National Park, is one of the biggest biodiversity areas on the globe. But this is what I'd love to show everyone. This is the White Lion heartlands after the White Lions were returned to this region. It's a recent Google Earth map, and I'm sure you can see there that just bringing the king back to their place in the ecosystem has restored the land. Do you see how the neighboring land is still suffering from desertification? But the holding the heart sacred. So that's really what I'm coming to with my guidance for humanity at this time, is how do we manifest our full potential? Well, the starting point is to create sacred space at the heart of your world in the way that these great lions have done for the ecosystem. What you have here is a pack of painted wolves, the second most endangered canids on the African continents. Once we'd secured the heartland of the White Lions, we then discovered, so it's on the main arterial route into this massive ecosystem, and there are two sacred rivers that I'm talking about. But what we discovered is that just downstream of us was a massive industrial citrus farming development that was being planned for that region. And to give you just the scale of their startup, they were about to remove 2.5 million cubic tons of water from that river. You can see it's the only river that feeds hundreds of thousands of hectares and all the critically endangered biodiversity. So it seemed an absolute impossibility, but the wonderful news is that we managed to halt that citrus farming development, all the old style poisonous monoculture cropping that you spoke about in protecting sacred earth and soil was at stake there. So what you have a picture of is protecting the heart and then simultaneously making sure that you remove that which harms what is sacred. So as an individual, you create sacred space and then you remove that which damages sacred space. Again, I'm talking about the ecosystem, but we are all an ecosystem. And these are the lessons that nature teaches us in our own life. So I'm going to move on very fast because of time permitting. I'm showing the next massive challenge on the borders, which would be called by the UN the buffer zone, is the clearing of earth and the polluting of the headwaters that feed our southern territories. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see there, that's how the earth is completely stripped by developers with earth-moving machines. And you'll see in the right-hand corner that a lot of the headwaters of this ecosystem are used as dumping sites for children's nappies and women's products, and is polluting the river all the way through to the Kruger National Park. And again, all the critically endangered animals there. So that is a key task of our organization, of course, in collaboration with a whole collective globally. So I think that's the next message. If we're looking at the lessons from the ecosystem and this macro view, how we as individuals can manifest our full potential. Protect the sacred heart of your life, ensure you defend that which is harming it. And then thirdly, ensure that you use collaborative efforts to manifest your full potential. You are not an island, as we said earlier. So the vision we have, and I look forward to Unity Week at Peace Week next year, is that that there will be rural agroecology with indigenous plants covering this whole area that has been stripped. The lions have a direct link to the water. We don't have time to discuss that, but they guard this sacred meridian line all the way up to Egypt, which is a water line and is a gold line. And this protection of the lions in their heartlands leads to a heartening, a lion-hearted emergence of leadership. Firstly, in the local communities who have something to celebrate, and then in the greater field, which is, Earth, celebrating the lion heart, which is emerging in our time in all parties, in all people who have come to serve Earth. Those speaking here today, those listening in today, are working with this new principle of fearlessness in love and respect for nature that makes us unstoppable. So the last two slides to share with everyone is that if your starting point to manifest your true potential is to protect the heart, the sacred heart of your world. You see, this is the teaching that the lion showed me for the greater community. And I use lion-hearted leadership with these 12 laws, whether we're working with our schools, our educational hubs in the greater community, or whether we're doing online training with our greater community, global community. But I wish to show you this image because I feel it harmonizes so beautifully with the images around core needs, because at the center of these core needs is to create that golden heart, sacred space in your life. And, however, many of the communities we work with are impoverished and many of the basic needs are challenged. But the amazing thing is the ability to create sacred space in communities that are linked with the earth, and remember that there is a presence, a divine presence, both within and without. So that I found, whether it's the heartland or the heart of humanity, the lion-hearted heart of humanity, is the way we start and continue to support the creation of our full potential. Let me stop that share for now and speak into that later with everyone when we do.
Oh, Linda, thank you. Thank you for that powerful presentation and such an incredible sharing from a lived experience of your work there over these many, many years, and what you've learned by doing it is just so rich to be able to share with all of us. Thank you. Thank you for those that opening powerful um, presentation, Linda, and we look forward to coming back and hearing more reflections from you. Isn't it amazing to see the transformation when right relationship is established? Everything changes. So, Laura, Rose, building upon those themes that have been laid out and that Linda has touched on, and in your own unique work and experience of coaching and mentoring and developing young change makers around the world over many, many years, what would you say? What are you seeing as the local solutions, the community solutions, the regional solutions, and of course global solutions as well? Laura Rose.
Thanks, Ben. And thank you, Linda, for that beautiful presentation. It's incredible how when one key piece of nature falls into place, that everything blossoms and blooms and functions the way that it should. And, I love Shelley's 7 core needs and the way that she presents them. And she makes the last one the manifestation of our own potential. And when I think about that, I think about, Aviram was saying, it's very difficult to manifest one's own potential when basic needs aren't met. And yet the extraordinary thing, of course, is how many people on the planet do have their basic needs met, do have the ability to go beyond wondering where their next meal is, wondering if they're going to have a roof over their head. And if that's the case, then isn't it our incumbent duty to make the realization that we can therefore improve the lot of others, and that there is no more important work to be done by all of us than to overcome the fear, overcome the self-absorption, to make the decision that we can be a part of providing, not just for ourselves, not just for our neighbors, but for everyone. And that abundance exists on this planet. There is so much of everything that we need. There is enough water, there is enough clean air, there is enough food, but only if we share it. And if 1% of the world's population, of the world's wealth is controlled, or if 90% of the world's wealth is controlled by 1% of the population, then that in and of itself is telling us that something is incredibly upside down and wrong with the way that we're functioning right now. And so, when I look to that and think about what is the chasm that divides us right now and that prevents us from reaching our full potential, from wanting to protect the plants, the animals, the innocent beings that are on this planet that deserve our love and to be connected with us. I think it's based on fear. I think it's based on the unknown, the neighbor that we don't know. We're afraid of seeing somebody who doesn't look like us, who the smell of their food is not familiar to us, whose religious rituals seem threatening to us. And yet, what I've learned through cultural exchange and what I've spent the last 37 years of my life doing is recognizing that with the possibility to bring people together, with the possibility to know one another, so much potential opens up. And I think one of the most impactful and least known pieces of our legislation was enacted into law by John F. Kennedy in 1961. And that was the Fulbright-Hays Act. And what it says is the purpose of the enactment was to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and the people of other countries by means of educational and cultural exchange in order to strengthen the ties which unite us. It expands on the development of cultural interests and achievements of the people in the US and other nations, and celebrates the contributions being made towards a peaceful and more fruitful life for people throughout the world. to promote international cooperation for educational and cultural advancement, and thus to assist in the development of friendly and sympathetic relations worldwide. It's a really lofty act to implement, but what happened as a result of that? And some of the beautiful things that still exist in the United States is that thousands of not-for-profit organizations were enabled to start making cultural exchange a part of their existence. And over 1 million young people have gone to the United States. This is just into the United States. We also work with many, many Americans traveling abroad, but they were enabled to come into the United States, and not just to learn from the communities where the local communities where they were placed or where they work, but for those members of the community to learn about them, to learn that the United States is not an island, that no nation is an island, and that as we come to know one another, we realize what potential exists to break down the barriers, to stop feeling the fear, and to recognize that we have so much in common and so much to share. And the things that I've seen, I mean, I'll just share one story with you now before I move on to the rest. But about 25 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 30 years ago, I went to the Czech Republic, and I visited a sending partner of ours who was a lovely woman. She had been in the Russian, she had been a gymnastics star in the Russian team, and it was just after the wall fell, was starting a cultural exchange organization, and she had a little girl who was 14 at the time. And I met this little girl named Jana Rule, and I said, Jana, what do you want to do when you grow up? What are your dreams? And she said, I want to go to the United States more than anything in the world. I want to be an exchange student. I want to live with a family. I want to know what that's like. And 2 years later, we made arrangements for her to live with a family outside of Chicago, whom she became very close to. Well, fast forward 20 years, her mother died. She had no father. She married in Králové in the Czech Republic. And she reached out to her host mother from Chicago when she had her first baby. And that host mother got on a plane when her baby was born and flew to the Czech Republic and took care of that child like her own granddaughter, and has now become like another member of that family to them. And this is just one of a multitude of things that I could share, but those connections are so invaluable to what it takes for us to recognize that we're all part of one world. We're all part of one community, and that the borders that we see on a map are only on a map. They're only drawn on a map. And we can cross those borders and we can learn to share. And later on, I'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits of these exchanges that we've organized over the years, but I'll leave it for now, Ben.
Thank you, Laura. Did you want to play any of the videos we had ready to go, or do you feel like to do them a little bit?
I'll do it in the next section, unless this is a better one. I can do it now. Go ahead and play the first one. Yeah, play the one that's the 8 with the girls, I think is the first image.
Is it the
called HS?
Is it the Green Heart Global Impact Grant, or is it the Green Heart Exchange High School Arrivals?
High school arrivals. Yeah, so let me preface this. We just had over 5,000 young people from 65 countries arrive in the United States, despite the pandemic, despite embassy closures. And these are just some clips of their arrivals in the United States, and just sort of the excitement that surrounds it. Thanks, Ben.
Oops, sorry.
Have sound?
Let me get the sound.
Nicer with sound.
I'll go back.
Thanks.
Okay. Beautiful. Great to see those happy smiles and those arrivals, and Laura, just the connections and the profound impact that even one individual can have on another, as you put the story of the young girl in Chicago. Such an incredible, powerful thing when people believe in us, or to have somebody to believe in you and to take you on that journey. So thank you for sharing that, and we might play the other video a little bit later, Laura.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, Aviram Rozin. We've created so much with Sadhana Forest down there in Oroville. Really looking forward to building upon what we've heard so far from Laura, Rose, and from Linda Tucker, and your own window on this as to what are you seeing. You raised some of the challenges earlier, and what are you seeing as some of the ways forward or the solutions locally, regionally, and globally for this big idea of how we can set the conditions to manifest potential?
Yeah, so I want to connect a little bit with what Laura said about the missing piece. And in her work, it's the lion. In our work, it's the trees. We add the trees to the landscape, and I can show you in a moment how. And then the landscape completely changes for people and for animals. And for instance, in our campus here in Oroville, we started with 0 wildlife except of 2 species of snakes that were here, and now we have 91 species of birds. We have more than 20 species of mammals, and this is after 19 years of forest water conservation and forest work here, and it's 166 species of trees. So it's a very diverse environment and very rich environment, and that relates also to peace in many places, because for instance, we work in Haiti, and the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, as you know, is quite tense sometimes. And the fact that we're creating food security through the food forestry work, we're creating food security for Haitians, actually reduces conflict in the border. There's less the wish to go over the border and try to get something from the DR. In the same way, our work in Kenya with the Samburu is also aimed at reducing conflict, because Samburus, when they wander into Turkana or into Pokot or into other tribal territories, they are faced with violence. Because in the past it was bows and arrows, and now it's AK-47s, and people are very protective of their grazing grounds because of the drought. There's not enough to graze for everyone. So moving towards a plant-based food security really makes a difference in that way, and helps fulfill potential. So it's not just overcoming the challenges of scarcity of water and food. When you plant a tree, you're creating a huge potential. You plant something that is very small, and sometimes you don't even realize how big it will become. Funnily enough, there are people planting trees very near to their homes, and they say, "Oh, when I planted it was this small. Now it's moving my house away." So we're really creating potential for the tree and for ourselves as well, because as we grow with the tree, we are realizing the interdependency, and we're realizing that the tree is not just a tree. It's water, it's shade, it's food, it's better soil, it's the ability to grow other things. So and it's fulfilling. It's extremely fulfilling to create an ecosystem, and everybody can do it. There are 130 million people in the world that are severely malnourished, but have huge amounts of land around their homes. When I found out this fact, it's so paradoxal, because you have a lot of land, but you're not growing anything. And the reason people are not growing anything is because they don't believe that the land has potential, because they've never seen anyone transform. I remember my first meetings with Samburu chiefs. They said, "How are you going to plant trees? Only God plants trees." Because it's difficult for us to realize, but many people in the world have never seen the planting of a tree. They've seen an ancestral forest that was cut, but planting they've never seen. So they're not, when I showed the pictures of how we transformed the site in India and the site in Haiti, they were shocked that actually this can be a man-made job, a human-made job, sorry. So I think that this is the moment where the potential of the other aspects of nature and the potential of us are connecting and growing together and bringing peace to us and to others as well, and reducing conflict. So I just want to share just 2 slides so that you have a sort of a visual of how it looks like. Is that okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Let me do this. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
Oh, wonderful.
So, okay. This is, okay, this has jumped to the beginning of the presentation where I don't want to be. Sorry.
Well, it's all very intriguing. We wish we had more time.
Yeah, next time I hope we get a chance to see more. But this is just a quick demonstration. So this is the team that we started Sadhana Forest, Kenya in 2014. We started here in India in 2003, and this is in Haiti in 2010, and then in Kenya in 2014. This is our team, and this is the concept. So you can see that the Samburus live in little huts called manyatas, and they live quite far from each other and have quite a lot of space around their home. You can see it here. And what we do is simply plant a few trees, a few drought-resistant, indigenous, food-bearing trees around their homes. And that's how it looks like. Okay? So now every manyata has a few trees around it so that people can start harvesting leaves and fruit and nuts from the trees. And then we plant a few more, and then a few more, and then a few more, and then more. And then it becomes a continuous forest area. It's all food forest. All these trees are trees that produce food, and they're drought resistant. And this is sort of the basic of our system. Instead of going for huge planting in public lands or government-owned lands, we plant on people's own land where they are very motivated to protect. And slowly we transform it into a forest. And that forest is a living space for everybody, not just for the people, but also for wildlife. Yeah, so that's the Samburu tribe that we work with. Lovely people, the semi-nomadic pastoralists who used to wander on very, very large grounds, but now are not able to do it because of the borders and because of other tribes being very protective of their land and so on and so forth.
Where is this? Sorry, Aviram. Whereabouts is this?
This is in Samburu County in the north of Kenya.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, and this is our site in India when we started, and then today, the way it looks. So there are 166 different species of trees, and you can see our campuses are all run only on solar energy. They're built from local and natural materials. This is all wood and rope, and there are no nails, then there's no cement. So we're trying to not just to do conservation work, but to model a sustainable type of living, a sustainable lifestyle. So the food is organic and vegan. and there are only dry composting toilets, and we are always off the grid. We never run any activity on the grid. This is a guideline of our organization. All our project directors are ethical vegans in all the countries, so that the organization would stay very truthful to this idea of non-violence towards any animals. Yeah, so that's what we do.
Aviram, I think we have, I want to give you like another 5 minutes to go a little, like show us more. I know that everyone is like looking at what you're doing. They're going, wow, that's amazing. Maybe a few people knew about the work of Sadhana Forest a bit more than others, but I want to just give you another good 5 or 6 minutes to take us through, you know, what are the,
Thank you very much.
What are the flourishings that you see? I mean, seeing those pictures of the trees. And I love just already here how we see, you know, Linda's stewardship for the lions, Laura's mentorship of young people, and your focus on the trees as the flourishing is sort of setting the condition for the whole ecosystem to manifest its potential. Take us through a little deeper, brother, into your work. We're absolutely fascinated.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I start sharing again, I just wanted to mention another element. That we are all volunteers. I've never taken a salary from Sadhana Forest, and nor did any of the management of the organization. We're all full-time volunteers. Many of us I'm for 19 years, there are many of us for 10 years and above. And this is in order to keep the organization with very low expenses, but at the same time with very high motivation. It's also very motivating for our volunteers to see that we are volunteers, and you know, and I think it's creating a sort of a cycle of motivation. So let me just share again. Thank you so much for your interest. I'm so touched by the fact that you want to see more. It's really wonderful. Okay, where should I go? So this is today. These are our early days, drilling the borehole and building the structures. As you can see, it's all wood. And working with volunteers, which is the source of our strength. So just that I give you some numbers, before COVID, we had more than 1,500 volunteers annually in the centers. These are residential volunteers, not people coming for a few hours a week, but people volunteering for months and years. And this is our main hut. You can see the structure is all built from local natural materials and is lit by solar energy. This is the newer main hut, and you can see there is a screen here, and it's natural, but at the same time it's very high tech. I'm talking with you from fiber optic. You know, that is in the forest, in the middle of the forest. And we want to show that you can do things simply and environmental friendly, but still enjoy all the technology and all the communication and connection with people. This is our kitchen. We serve about more than 80,000 free meals a year, vegan meals, to many people. So everybody that comes to visit Sadhana Forest in any of our campuses, if they come in mealtime, they are just joining the meal. And we constantly cook for 20, 30 more people in every meal, so that people can join us and just have an abundance of organic and vegan food at any point that they wish. If they come between meals, at least we'll serve them bananas and other fruits, so that they don't feel that they've left the forest hungry. We use rocket stoves, which are a very sustainable way to burn wood and reduce the pressure on the forest. We live on solar energy, human power generator. We have a lot of young people with a lot of energy, sometimes even a little bit in excess. So we drain it with the human power generator. We wash our hands just by pouring the water into a cup with a small hole, so that we use 15 times less water than a tap. We are very aware about the use of water, and we try to both save on domestic use as well as try to conserve water on the land to stop runoff. Our biggest task is to stop the running of rainwater down the slopes and running off our land. So making the land, our land and other lands, into zero runoff zones. And a swale is one of the ways to do it. You can see the swale, and that's how it looks when it's with water in the beginning. And then even if you don't plant anything, it becomes like this. Yeah. So the animals bring seeds and just reforest it for you. And there are places, even in the back of this plot, if you look a bit deeper, it's so dense that you cannot walk even with a machete there. And we have never planted a single plant in that area, not a single one. Everything just came on its own. And the nice thing is that when the animals bring the species, they bring the species they like, you know? So they create the forest because they eat the seeds, they bring them and leave them there. And then they love the areas that they planted, not the areas that we planted. Where I chose the species, there are much less wildlife than in this area where they chose the species. So we're trying to convince people, let's do water conservation and not plant and let it grow on its own. But it's very difficult in today's world because everybody is talking about planting trees. So when we talk about water conservation as a key factor, it's not so much popular these days because all the funding is per tree, you know, $1 per tree, $50 per tree, you know, everything is structured that way. And it's difficult to come up with projects of water conservation, but we're doing it. We're doing it small, but we're doing it as well as we can. So this is some of the wildlife that came back. You see how colorful and lovely they are. We do earth dams and gabions and to stop water on waterways and nursery work, of course. And we develop different planting techniques that are appropriate for very harsh, hyper-arid areas that we work with. We work in, and a wick irrigation bottle that actually drips the water directly to the root and not above ground where the water evaporates and creates other problems like salinization and so on and so forth. So yeah, I don't know, I don't want to go too long, but if you are intrigued and you want to know more, please visit our website, sadhanaforest.org. I can send it on the chat, and we would love to talk with you and to show you what we're doing.
Thank you, Aviram. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That link in the chat. Thank you. This is an extraordinary example of flourishing ecosystem, and definitely a wonderful example of manifesting potential, setting the conditions for nature to do her work and to manifest potential. What a beautiful offering, Linda and Laura, from Aviram, just to see the power and the vitality that is possible when we get the right relationship, whether to the lions, to the young people, to the trees, whatever the focus is, and then that's the entry point for the whole system to change. Linda, what would you like to share built upon this conversation so far?
Oh, it's such a rich sharing. How much time do we have?
We've got a good 30 minutes still. We've got a good 30 minutes still. So there's time. This is important.
Well, you know, I think what I would wish to share is that, as you say, right relationship, I see it as sacred relationship, and that emanates out. So I think an important point that has been very helpful for me to understand as a lesson from the lions in terms of full potential, and I see it so beautifully expressed in Aviram's work, is the difference between predation and consumerism. You see, in nature, in predation, and the lion as the apex doesn't take more than it needs. And more than that, it's actually a gifting system. When you realize that the apex predator is balancing the whole of creation, as you saw in that Google Earth map, that under the footprint of the white lion, everything flourishes. You realize, in terms of manifesting full potential, that every single component in that ecosystem is an expression of itself in its highest capacity. And it's actually a gifting system. Everything gifts to the greater good of the whole, including the apex animal. And that then flows down into a flourishing of all of life. So if we as humans, as consumers, shift our model to understanding what true predation is about, it is to receive in love that which is gifted in love, and to know the difference from taking where it has not been agreed by nature that you should be taking. You see, because nature is such a gifting system. I loved what you said, that nature will flourish. It flourishes in the consciousness of you intending to serve it. So from a desert to a forest, nature was responding. But once there'd been that shift, nature took the lead and showed you, Aviram, what creation really looks like. So I think there are two lessons in that, in terms of manifesting our full potential. To remember that if we are reestablishing sacred relationship with nature, nature will respond in kind. And then we need to take our lead from nature and see what else the teachings are. So yes, for me, there's a fundamental shift between consumerism and predation. And when humanity understands that, we will have shifted our model.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Linda. There's a natural exchange taking place, which is happening in the right order, with, if I understand predation correctly. And in some ways, it's resonant, Laura, with that amazing quote that came from John F. Kennedy and the act that was passed in the 60s about the power of cultural exchange, true, authentic cultural exchange, to be a force for good in the world, and also leading to prosperity and peace. Such extraordinary value created from getting these exchanges right. So what would you like to share, Laura, built upon this incredible conversation so far with Aviram and everything Linda shared as well?
I'm so moved right now. Aviram, thank you for the beautiful work you're bringing into the world. And Linda, just extraordinary. I'm so touched. My heart is singing right now. I think one of the things I'd like to touch on is the dimension of volunteerism that you spoke about, because to me, that giving, as you were saying, Linda, when we give from the heart, we receive so much. And it turns our relationship with others into a circular good. And one of the things that Greenheart was quite original at doing was creating a volunteerism component for all of our exchange participants. And we went a little bit against the grain by requiring that every student had to volunteer at least once when they came. So there was a little bit of resistance to that, because we had students from countries that had never conceived of the concept of doing something without monetary compensation. I remember we had a lovely girl from Kazakhstan. She was about 17, and we said, so we'd like you to do some volunteering while you're here. And she put her hands on her hips and said, I don't work for free ever. And then she tried it and she did some volunteering with a cleanup project. Actually, a bunch of kids went to the beach and just, picked up bits of plastic and things. And she came back and she started volunteering all the time. And we had this site on our website that was a heart that was empty. And every time that a student would volunteer an hour, the heart would fill with a little bit of green, so that by the time they'd done 100 hours, the heart was completely green as opposed to empty. And once the students acquired that full heart, then they were eligible to apply for grants. And some of the results of those grants are so extraordinary to me. What these young people did with, say, $1,000, I mean, a very small amount of money, but taking that money back to their countries, they would complete an application, and it would be reviewed by a group of staff, and then we would provide them with this funding. And one of the most recent ones is a lovely young man from the Philippines who just received a grant from Green Heart. So Ben, I'd like to share this story.
Yes.
I think you have the video, right?
The body, powerful, biodiverse.
Okay, go ahead, Laura. Go ahead. I think Linda just had a video playing. That was, wow, powerful music.
So the second video that I gave you, Ben, is about one of our recent recipients of
Yes.
a grant to make a difference in the Philippines. And I thought we could share that now. This is Kimbian Lim, who was in the United States with us on a cultural exchange program a couple of years ago.
My name is Kimbian Lim. I'm from the Philippines. I just want a Green Heart Impact Grant to protect our wildlife, specifically dolphins and other marine mammals, through our Project Lumba. Lumba, Filipino word for dolphin and Cebuano word for race, aims to serve as a conservation effort for our dolphins in a race against time, through integrating youth participation, citizen science, and multi-sectoral collaboration. It focuses on providing an awareness campaign and capacity building training about marine mammals inhabiting the Sarangani Bay Protected Seascape, and a creation of a megafauna response team, or MRT, through a dolphin and marine mammal spotting boat field experience and MRT training with the help of environmental agencies in the area. My hope is that this project will be sustained through the partnerships that we will foster and youth participants that we will capacitate, institutionalized through a youth megafauna response team, and will be instrumental towards marine mammal conservation. It is a goal that after this project, the participants will be prepared to ready, get set, and Lumba.
So Kimbian is one of many grant recipients that we've recognized over the years. And Emmanuel and I and Ben and a huge community of wonderful people a couple of years ago started our most recent project, which is called Purpose Earth, which provides grant funding to grassroots community groups and individuals to do work like what Aviram is doing and what you're doing, Linda, and all around the planet. I think it's connecting those points of light to create an illumination that will provide us all with hope. And it doesn't take a fortune to make a difference. We've seen that with the playgrounds that were installed in Jamaica and the running water that was provided for a school in Northern Colombia, and libraries that we were able to set up with tiny amounts of money in Gambia and different places. And all of it is possible when we come together, when we put down our barriers, when we allow each other to love and care and stop feeling that fear. I really think that's all of it. When I look at the United States right now, I keep thinking, if we would all just stop clinging to these concepts that make us so isolated and so angry, and would just open our hearts to all of the potential that makes people feel so good. I mean, these kids and the families that host them are changed for a lifetime as a result of this. And I just want to say hats off to the two of you for the beautiful work you're doing. And I think there's a lot more to be done.
There is a lot more to be done. Beautifully said, Laura Rose. And I want to take this opportunity actually to play the short Purpose Earth Champions video because I think it's the brand new campaign that's launched here again in Peace Week, and it's about supporting the kinds of work that's been showcased here. Wasn't that wonderful to hear from that young Filipino man about his work preserving the dolphins? When we look at what Linda's been able to achieve through the white lions and Aviram through the trees, I mean, it's just the repercussions of these acts know no boundaries as to what's possible. So I want to take this chance to acknowledge Purpose Earth and play this Purpose Earth Champions video, and I'll pop the link in the chat, and then Aviram, I have a question for you. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing work, and supporting initiatives all around the world. So we definitely invite people to support that and become a Purpose Earth champion. And Aviram, that actually brings me to a question I had for you. The seventh core need of manifesting potential is about what the flow and the exchange from the part to the whole. So how can we empower the part to contribute to the whole, and then also what does the part need to be nourished by from the whole system as well. And so I wanted to ask you about your model of sustenance, because very often in the world we see people who have idealistic and we want to change the world, and we go out there and we give everything, and then we end up depleted and we don't have what we need to be sustained. So you're a family man, you've got children, I understand, and other requirements. How do you, what's your model of how you can be sustained? Even though it's volunteering, what's the model of how you meet your basic needs and energy requirements, resource requirements?
I don't worry about this too much. I wake up in the morning and I do what I love doing, and I don't have a pension plan. People ask me all the time, what would you do when you're older? But really, it doesn't worry me at all. I don't intend to retire anytime soon, even if I had a retirement plan. And I wake up full of motivation because I'm surrounded by people that are motivated. So it's a whole I'm surrounded by people that want to do more and more and more. I just came back now from 4 days in the south of Tamil Nadu, about 400 kilometers from here, with some people that live in deserted villages. These are villages that had 100, 150 houses, and now 3 or 4 or sometimes even 20 families, that's the most, live in the village, and all the rest of the villages are deserted. People have left to towns and cities. And it was so motivating to work all day in the sun with them, planting trees and just dreaming about the future of this very barren village becoming, full of fruits, and you go and pick, and just imagining this. I live a lot from my imagination. So I come into a village and everybody sees a desert, but I see a forest, because I know it can be done, So, and then we work towards it, and it's, I work with a lot of young people that talk a lot about self-care and how much time you need for yourself. And I don't feel those needs so much. I don't feel depleted, the opposite. I feel so energetic that it's difficult for me to go to sleep. I want to do more. I sleep 5, maximum 6 hours a night, and I wake up ready to roar. I don't know. I think being surrounded by my family, who's very supportive. My wife Yorit is the co-founder of Sadhana Forest, and we do everything together. I'm sort of maybe a little bit more on the front on Zoom, but in reality, she's doing the same work that I'm doing. And we're just doing this, and it's no depletion for me yet, but I don't know, maybe it will come. I hope not.
Wonderful. A beautiful response. A beautiful response, Aviram. Thank you so much. That's your needs are taken care of, and can feel the joy of the work that you're doing, and so beautiful. So we'll have a few minutes each to close when we come. We have a question for you, Linda, specifically about zoos, which I want to make sure we cover. But also we'll then close with how can we effectively go forward? Look at this extraordinary work that's taking place. Look at the work of Green Heart and Purpose Earth and how it's supporting change makers around the world. Linda's incredible global impact from her local lived experience in Timbavati, and what Aviram's extraordinary work. Jan was also talking about a new project you've got, I think, in North India, that perhaps you might get a chance to touch on as well, Aviram, when we close. And just in the final question we'll have will be, how can we go forward effectively together to continue connecting these ecosystems, lions and trees and young people and dolphins and the infinite, kind of diversity of life on Earth. It's incredibly inspiring conversation to see what's possible when we do something small with great intention and beauty. Then the results are infinite. I don't mean small in any way apart from focused. So Linda's focusing on the lions and etc. So Linda, let's deal with the zoo question, and then we'll get into the closing. So Monica is saying she saw the white lions in the zoo, and she was very moved by that experience. And she's asking generally, what's your views on zoos as a whole idea? We'll have to. 1 second. Let me try that.
How's that? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I thought Africa might start shouting at you again. Sorry about that. Apologies. That is a video that I would love to share with people, or at least share the link afterwards, which it'll give a lot of hope. It does to me daily, just about what is possible when nature restores herself. Because I think the key to this for all of us as we face, as Laura rightly says, it is all about overcoming our fears. And that's what my training in lion-hearted leadership is about, training from the lions. It's about overcoming our fears. And actually the way we do that is to go into humility and in service, in the way that, Aviram's project illustrates it. And that is the path of joy, as you see, ultimately. So to pick up from Aviram, a key point about visualizing a positive outcome, I feel that is absolutely vital, because if you can visualize a positive outcome, you can work back to know what your next step is in order to realize your full potential. And remembering that there is a higher authority in all of this. Nature is the higher authority. It holds the source codes from source that can assist us in restoring our sacred relationship. So to come to the zoo question, if we're looking forward to into the field of possibility of right relationship with our planet, where our freedom, a core need, our freedom to express our full potential is honored. We cannot see a world where animals are kept in cages. It just is not part of the future that we are birthing here together. We can see that as a moment locked in time and completely comparable to humanity in our various cages, as we all experienced over the last years. We experienced what it was like to have our freedom taken away. And that was a big lesson globally. And so what have we learned from that lesson in order to manifest our full potential? It certainly won't be to continue with holding the spirit of nature in various forms of captivity. That said, the lions are this great spirit of peace being birthed in a time of crisis. And they are offering themselves, or have, let me put that very clearly, I believe they have offered themselves in various capacities of sacrifice in order to be points of light on the globe to help humanity awaken and start working with true potential, which, in my understanding, the true apex leadership, lion-hearted leadership, is service, is what you do, Laura, is what all of these humans who are coming into right relationship with nature recognize, that nature is a gifting system. Therefore, we should be gifting back to it. So what I'm saying is that's a moment locked in time that the lions and possibly other animals have. Well, I can only speak for the lions, really, because they speak through me, but they have agreed to it for a period of time. But I'm getting very clearly from them that that is not acceptable going forward in the months and the years ahead. They will be withdrawing that role, and we need to see our rewilding and our interrelationship with nature. And so that role of taking kids to zoos will be a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you, Linda. A very deep answer to the question around zoos. Thank you. By the way, how long is the video, the African video that you've got there?
It's a 5-minute video, so maybe we could end with it.
Sure. Yeah, I think we can. And if people need to get onto, we'll end with it. I think that's a great idea. Laura Rose, what a rich and extraordinary conversation around manifesting potential. What's your kind of, what are you left with the sense of? How can we go forward effectively to empower these extraordinary solutions that are helping to meet that core need of manifesting potential for humans and animals and trees and forests as well?
Yeah. Just a tiny little question. With so many fabulous possibilities. And I guess what I'd really like to say is that I've been talking a lot about cultural exchange, and I've been talking about bringing different peoples together from different countries and having them have a shared and like experience. And yet cultural exchange can occur within our own communities without ever having to welcome somebody from another country. Really what this exchange is about is reaching across the street, across the hallway, if you live in an apartment building, across the aisle, making sure that we all have an opportunity to know and see the extraordinary capacities that each one of us has, and to help to bring that out. And when I talked about the volunteering opportunities that we provide to young people or try to facilitate for them, I think by so doing, and this can be with our own children, this can be with neighboring children, if we can provide them with an opportunity to have an experience that's beyond social media, that's beyond looking at a screen. I mean, what we just experienced with our 6-year-old grandson, Juan, is that he came to visit us in the desert and he came to life seeing the animals that are there, the deer, the javelina, the chipmunks. We went to the Grand Canyon, and his favorite thing was the squirrels. What did you like at the Grand Canyon? The squirrels. But, when you think about how easy it is to inspire a child, how easy it is to have them recognize what exists and what needs to be cared for by simply making the effort to expose them. And it doesn't have to be at a zoo, although sometimes I think perhaps zoos do serve the purpose that the white lions are telling you right now, Linda, exists, because if that's their only exposure, if they can at least understand that in order to ensure the survival of those beautiful creatures, they could be a part of something that goes beyond visiting them in a zoo, and to support projects like Aviram's. There's so much potential for us right now, and I'm very optimistic. I know that there's a lot to be concerned about, but I see so much extraordinary beauty coming from human beings in this circle and the ripple effects that our circle are creating worldwide. And I think we're going to do some magnificent things to ensure our survival and that of nature.
Yes, beautiful, Laura, and thank you for everything you're doing through Purpose Earth and the other projects to help advance all of that. Wonderful. Aviram, firstly, it's been amazing to learn about your work. I know Jan Golding, who's a co-steward of eco-governance, was telling me a little bit about it, was super excited that you're going to be sharing, but deep bravo and deep bows to you, brother. It's incredible what you're doing in multiple locations around the world. It's super inspiring. So thank you for being with us. And what would you like to close with, as in terms of how do we go forward from here to take these principles that are working at Southern Forest, at the White Line Protection Trust, in Greenheart and Purpose Earth? How do we take them forward and empower them even more?
Yeah, so I wanted to connect to what Laura said before about fear being a stumbling block, and overcoming fear in order to fulfill our potential, and to connect that with what Linda said about rewilding. And while you were talking, Linda, I was thinking that actually what Sadhana Forest does is rewilding of the volunteers. I just realized it now that we take volunteers from the human zoos, the urban centers, into the wild, and give them. Most of our volunteers are urban. They live in little cages called apartments and suburban houses, and we rewild them in Africa or in Haiti or in India, and I think it helps them fulfill their potential. Many of them are deeply absorbed in nature and feel part of nature. And this kind of separation and fear sort of fade away, and many of them have fulfilled their potential in many ways, even in ways that we can't imagine. And sometimes, I get an email from someone, oh, I was in Sadhana Forest in 2006 or whatever, and now I have this huge organic farm or huge conservation project that I'm doing, an organization and this and that. And So wow, I never knew that this person was even in Southern Forest. I heard about the project, but I didn't even remember that that person. The first time she or he were in Southern Forest, it was in nature. It was in Southern Forest. So so they went ahead with their aspirations. And yeah, I wanted, Jan mentioned the issue of the project in the Northeast. I just wanted to say a word about that. So we're starting 3 new Sadhana forest centers in 3 tribal regions of a state called Meghalaya in the northeast of India. And it's very exciting for us because it's a huge growth for our work. We have now 3 centers in India, Haiti, and Kenya. And now to start in 1 year, 3 new centers is really inspiring and beautiful. And we have worked there for already 2 years, and we're asked to start those permanent centers. And they will be working with people towards better water conservation, because Meghalaya is the rainiest place in the world. And that poses a huge problem, because when you cut the forest in an area that is so rainy, the soil washes away much faster than in areas like Tamil Nadu, like where I am now, where the rainfall is about a 10th or 15 times less than in Meghalaya. So we're doing intense water conservation there and tree planting and working with the tribal population. And yeah, that's an exciting beginning for us. And next year in Kunene region in Namibia, next to the Angolan border, that's our new center. So yeah, we're trying to fulfill our potential also as people and as an organization to have many more of these sustainable centers worldwide.
Oh, brother, well, many blessings on that, and may that flourish, and I'm sure it will under your steady hand and all the experience and wisdom that you and the team and all the community there have learnt over these years can now be applied to other locations and other contexts. Very exciting as we come to close this beautiful circle. It's been just wonderful. Wonder if Shelley Ostroff wants to come in here briefly and greet and say hello. I just want to an incredible sharing, Shelley, a rich diversity of actions and lived experience that's been shared here. It's tremendously exciting.
It's so extraordinary. It's so heartwarming, and I'm so grateful to each of you for the incredible work you're doing and the inspiration and the way in which you shared this deep understanding of the conditions needed to manifest our potential in the context of the potential of all of life. And so deeply grateful, and just of course to acknowledge that the 7 core needs and eco-governance and much of everything I'm dedicated to is inspired by the Global White Lion Protection Trust and the White Lions that I had the very great privilege to meet in 2012, and that have inspired my work, and really everything since then changed my life. And this is one of the fruits of that incredible meeting, and such deep gratitude always to Linda for her lion-hearted leadership. So.
You never know the impact we may have. I just wanted presence too that 38 minutes ago, it clicked over to midnight here in Australia. So it's day 99 here of the 99 days of peace through unity. It's September the 24th, and this 99th day is going to go for around 40 hours. But one of the things that's happening, and Danilia, who's here with us, who's super inspired by this conversation, and Avram, what you're doing with the forest. Danilia from the Listening Field, on the 24th of September at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be having a gratitude ceremony to the nature elders, which seems so appropriate at this moment to shout that out. So please be aware of that. It'll be here in room 1. And this is the conclusion of the plenaries dedicated to the 7 core needs. It's been an extraordinary journey, Shelley. Congratulations to you and Jan. 7 core needs are launched into the world with just incredible light and beauty, grace and wisdom and joy, and deep gratitude to our panelists today. We're going to close with Linda Tucker's video. I want to thank you, Laura Rose. I know I have some idea of how much you've got on your plate. You just arrived in Spain, and you've got so many projects and commitments and things that you're stewarding. So we're deeply grateful for your time here today. And Aviram, it's just wonderful to meet you. And I hope one day our paths will cross in the physical, and looking forward to your new projects. And hopefully, perhaps you'll come back in June when we have World Unity Week next year, and give us an update on the incredible work of Sadhana Forest. So thank you, everybody. Let's close, Linda, with your video.
Thank you, everybody. I just one word as I hand over to the images of the lions, and to thank Shelley, to thank all of you, but to remind us that as we aspire to our full potential, it's very helpful to know that Earth is conscious, and she is expressing her full potential and inviting us to be part of that whole regeneration. That is what keeps me going, and I know it does all of us, to know Mother Earth has awoken. So that's a lead up to this closing video, and to say that Shelley and I activated the heartland of the lions all the way up to the Holy Lands of Jerusalem, but that's just one expression of how we all connected in this effort to restore our sacred relationship with our planet. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. So let's share that. Share screen.
Like the vital organs of the body, powerful biodiversity hotspots on Earth hold the source codes for the revitalization of our entire planet and the flourishing of life itself. Life began in Africa, and speciation is associated with the East African Rift Valley at the epicenter of Earth's land masses, also referred to by evolutionary scientists as the birth canal of the human species. The white lions were born on the Nilotic meridian along the East African Rift tectonic plate, and significantly in alignment with the most important architectural sacred sites on the African continent, Giza, Great Zimbabwe, Barberton. This means that humankind's greatest lion monument, the Great Sphinx and pyramids of Giza in the north, align exactly with the birthplace of the white lions in the south. The white lions originate in this one location only on Earth, Timbavati, meaning place where the star lions came down in the old Shangaan language, and their heartland, Tsao, meaning star lion. But while the African wisdom keepers have long revered the white lions as holy animals and bringers of peace and prosperity, their critically important role in the ecosystem is less well understood. Their cultural role in restoring hope to humankind is equaled by their ecological role in restoring health to their ecosystem. Today, we are faced with a pervading sense of the devastation and desecration of Mother Earth. As immortalized in Disney's Lion King story, when the true king is removed from his kingdom, a wasteland ensues. But there is a way to come back into right relationship with our planet. When the apex animal is restored in its natural kingdom, the flourishing of all species in the ecosystem is assured. The white lions may be living legends, mythic in their majesty and iconic in their radiant solar power, Yet their ability to restore health and healing to their natural ecosystem is fundamental ecology at its best. Importantly, their place of origin is in the epicenter of South Africa's Kruger to Canyons biosphere, a UNESCO-declared biosphere region and one of the last viable lion ranges on the planet. The white lion's birthplace was declared an ancient sacred site by African kings hundreds of years before the Kruger National Park was proclaimed in 1926, and the more recent United Nations accreditation at the turn of this millennium. But tragically, the white lions have been forcibly removed from their endemic wilderness territories for a documented period of over 6 decades into zoos and circuses around the globe and into death camps in South Africa's notorious cuddle to kill industry. To ensure the critical survival of the white lions while protecting the watershed in their area of origin, the Global White Lion Protection Trust has been purchasing large tracts of land since 2004, the heart of the white lion's ancestral territories. Significantly, the White Lion Heartlands spans the arterial river which serves the greater region, the only perennial waters in an area of some 100,000 hectares. Once a severely denuded habitat of radical biodiversity loss, the White Lion Heartlands has enjoyed dramatic regeneration under the pawprint of the apex predator. This recent Google Earth map records the contrast between Tsao, the White Lion Heartlands today, and the desertification of neighboring lands directly bordering, where legalized commercial trophy hunting of lions has been taking place for decades. Just as wolves restored waterways in Yellowstone Park, so ecologists now recognize the apex predator's role in restoring balance throughout the trophic levels of the food chain in an ecosystem. As inspirational symbols of true service-based leadership, the white lions in our protected area restore health to their ecosystem and hope to human systems. Behind me is land that was once seriously degraded in the heart of the White Lion Heartlands. The Global White Lion Protection Trust has been purchasing large tracts of land in the white lion's endemic homelands and returning the lions to the wild in a scientific reintroduction program, because we know when the white lions flourish, all life flourishes. Today, all conservation issues are global issues. If Brazil loses its rainforests, Earth has lost her lungs. If South Africa loses its white lions, Earth has lost her heart. We can all feel it, the pulsing heart of the animal kingdom on Earth, the white lion's sacred natural site, revitalizing all the vital organs of our living planet.
Thank you, everybody. I hope and know that the spirit of the white lions and all of creation is with us in our united efforts, all interconnected with one heart. Thank you for this great privilege of sharing in this way.